Good afternoon. I'm Shania and this is One News Now. The Energy Department says that the power supply in the Luzon grid is already back to normal. Let's discuss that and other matters from Malacanang with Maricel Halili, who joins us live from Mandaluyong. Hi, Mase. Good afternoon. What else did Secretary Alfonso Cusi have to say about the rotational brownouts in the past few days?
Hi, Sean. Energy Secretary Cusi said during the press briefing earlier that as of today, we have sufficient supply of power nationwide, so we won't be expecting any rotational brownout, at least for today. During the past few days, the Energy Department have problems with some of the power plants, especially those undergoing preventive maintenance. This is actually one of the reasons why some of the areas nationwide experienced a rotational brownout.
All right, Mase. Did Secretary Cusi have anything to say about, the probe that he is launching as Energy Secretary, or as the Energy Department is set to investigate these allegations that there was collusion among power suppliers?
In one of the interviews of Undersecretary Wimpy Fortebelia, he said that conspiracy theory is not considered now, considering that there's already a ceiling when it comes to the imposition of power or prices to energy. So the power plants or power suppliers won't have any advantage if they will conspire with each other, because they cannot impose additional prices on energy. What they are investigating right now is the possible economic sabotage of some of the power plants. It is clear on the policies of the Department of Energy that power plants are not allowed to conduct preventive maintenance during the months of April, May, and June, because it's summer season, and it is expected the demands for energy will increase. They can conduct power maintenance or preventive maintenance in their plants on other months based on the approval or subject to the approval of the Energy Department.
All right, and did the Energy Secretary assure that power supply will be stable in the next few days or weeks, maybe until the end of the summer season?
So far, the commitment of the Energy Department is that they will do everything to make sure that we will have a steady supply in the next few days. They have also monitored the situation in areas affected by the typhoon, particularly the Samar province. Energy Secretary Cusi said that their people have already fixed the majority of the lines in the said area. I think there are only a few that still need to be fixed.
And did the Secretary, who's also, of course, Vice Chairman of the PDP Laban ruling party, did he have anything to say about that privileged speech of Manny Pacquiao yesterday?
Secretary Cusi refused to rebut the statement of Secretary Pacman, saying that it seems that Secretary Cusi is prioritizing political issues over problems on power supply. What Secretary Cusi said is that he is doing those two things at the same time. He trusts his team in the Department of Energy to do what is right to solve the issue on the power supply. And at the same time, he had to attend the meeting conducted in Cebu together with the members of the PDP Laban to plan what will be their next move for the advantage of the party.
All right, moving on now to the weather, which has improved slightly. Was there any update from the palace about the effects or those most affected regions by the tropical storm Dante?
Well, we have to ask the DSWD about it, Sean. I mean, referring to the assistance to be distributed to those affected by the typhoon. But since typhoon is not something new in the country, the usual statement is that local governments are already prepared when it comes to giving assistance to their constituents.
All right, and of course there was this telesummit between President Duterte and Russian President Vladimir Putin. How did that go? And were vaccines mentioned? Of course, I'm talking about Sputnik V.
Yes, it was mentioned during the telesummit between President Duterte and Russian President Vladimir Putin. President Duterte thanked President Putin for the doses of Sputnik V distributed to the country. At the same time, President Putin also reiterated his commitment to President Duterte that they will add more volume of Sputnik V to be distributed to the Philippines.
Did the palace spokesman have any reaction to Mayor Isko Moreno's call for the IATF to finally, do without the face shield requirement already? I saw his tweets last night.
Sean, the position of Malacanang is still the same. It was asked during the press briefing earlier, since Manila Mayor Isko Moreno has suggested that maybe it's about time to remove the face shield as a requirement included in the minimum health protocols. But then Secretary Roque said that their decision to impose the wearing of face masks and face shield is based on science. And according to the medical expert, it's another level of protection if we will require, or the government will require, the wearing of face masks and face shields to ordinary people. And so as of now, they don't have any plans of deleting that particular requirement as part of the minimum health protocols.
All right, so face shields will still be a part of everyday life here in the Philippines. Now moving on to politics, Mase, was there any reaction from the palace about the possible Duterte tandem that is being floated for next year's presidential elections?
Actually, Sean, we asked Secretary Cusi about that particular issue first, considering that, he's the vice chairman of PDP Laban, and he was the one who actually called to convene the members of the PDP Laban, but he refused to answer the issue and instead asked Secretary Roque to answer that particular question in his behalf. Presidential spokesperson Secretary Roque said that the Duterte tandem is not new to the public. The Vaweños have already experienced the Duterte tandem in local politics. So Secretary Roque said that maybe it will be better to ask those residents of Davao what was their experience during the term of the Duterte partnership, and maybe we can make our decision based on their observations.
All right, thank you so much for all those updates. Stay safe. Maricel Halili joining us live from Mandaluyong City. And speaking of face shields, the Interior Department believes that the public should continue using them. In today's Laging Handa briefing, Undersecretary Jonathan Malaya maintained that face shields offer an additional layer of protection against COVID-19. Malaya underscored its importance, especially now that we are scrambling to achieve population protection. Malaya was reacting to the suggestion of Manila Mayor Isko Moreno to lift the face shield policy to lessen the expenses of the public.
Kung tatanggalin po natin yung face shield, kailangan po mapalitan niya ng something else, which I think is vaccination. Let us keep our guards up, and study this very carefully.
And the Science and Technology Department says its mix and match study for vaccines will not require additional allocation. Undersecretary Rowena Ibarra explained that the prioritization scheme will still be followed. Around 3,000 study participants will be from the A4 sector, as well as members of the A1 to A3 priority groups who have yet to be inoculated. Guevara said proponents are now working to secure the needed clearances for the study, which is expected to start next month.
Efficacy ng ating vaccines mag-i-improve ba pag nag-mix and match ka? Sa ibang bansa, tinatry din po nila. Kaso, gusto natin malaman kung sa Filipino ethnicity ay epektibo pa.
Here are other stories we're keeping our eyes on. Senate President Tito Sotto wants the IATF to scrap the mandatory 14-day quarantine for fully vaccinated travelers entering the Philippines. In a statement, Sotto said that the 2-week isolation requirement for those who have completed 2 doses defeats the purpose of inoculation. The senator also warned that the mandatory quarantine could delay the reopening of the economy because it makes fully vaccinated investors hesitant to come into the country. And criminal and administrative charges have been filed against Henzi Sinampan, the Quezon City cop who shot a 52-year-old woman at point-blank range earlier this week. PNP Chief Guillermo Eleazar reiterated that they are seriously considering regular neuropsychological tests for the police force, which is 221,000 strong. And the death toll from Tropical Storm Dante has climbed to 4, with 7 people still missing and 2 others injured. The NDRRMC says that the deaths and missing persons were reported in Mimaropa, Western Visayas, Eastern Visayas, Davao, and Soxcargen. And in sports, some 10,000 volunteers for the Tokyo Olympics quit just a little over a month before the scheduled games. Organizers said that the volunteers opted out of the event largely due to COVID-19 concerns. Sports officials are still confident that the Olympics will run smoothly because the event has already been scaled back. Tokyo 2020 chief Seiko Hashimoto ruled out another postponement of the games, except in dire instances like when most participants do not make it to Japan. A majority of people in Japan are still not in favor of pushing through with the Olympics, as the country continues to grapple with a 4th wave of infections. And in lighter news, scientists have developed vibrating smart shoes to help the visually impaired detect obstacles by using ultrasound signals. Let's watch this video from Reuters.
Wenn ich als Kind schon so einen Schuh gehabt hätte, hätte ich mir vielleicht ein paar Bläuflecken erspart. Zum Beispiel im Winter die Schneestangen, die herumstehen und die man jetzt besser vermeiden kann und ausweichen kann jetzt, beziehungsweise Wege, wo einfach viele Säulen oder Stangen sind, die sind jetzt einfach einfacher zu umschiffen mit dem Innovex-Schuh.
For more updates, visit News 5, The Philippine Star, and Business World online. Visit our website, onenews.ph, for more in-depth analysis. You can also catch One News on the Signal Play app. Register for a free account at www.signalplay.com and stream One News live anytime, anywhere. Mask on, wash hands, and stay safe, Philippines. I'm Sean Yao. We are One News.